Here we are, episode 3 of Slants and Drags. I am your host, Alex Drake. That is my esteemed co-host, Cam Ryan, making his third episode into the podcasting world. Cam, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good, apart from whatever is happening with my internet to make this so problematic tonight.
We don't really care about your voice or your face. We only care about the voice. So,
Oh, next time you're in town, my wife's going to have something to say about you. All right. So tonight we got a fun one. We're going to talk about the college football playoff. I got some things to say, but we're going to talk about the championship game a lot too. So let's get into it. Cam, do you remember me at the beginning of the season telling people over and over that the championship team was not going to be one of the first four in?
how could I forget you talking about one of your takes? How could I forget?
One of my right takes. Not only that, it's just neither of these teams would have been in the 14 playoff. Neither of them would have been in the BCS era. I've seen a lot of the let's go back to the BCS era coming around. But on top of that, we're not quite there yet. But add in the 105 roster limit, add in the revenue sharing model that's coming down the pipe, and what I hope is an expansion to 16 teams here close in the near future. I think the 12-team playoff is only going to increase parity in the sport. When you have teams like Georgia and Alabama and Texas and Ohio State and Michigan and all these teams and Oregon, when they're not able to just stockpile the talent the way they have been, and now you have, let's throw SMU or Notre Dame this year or a couple of other teams in there that, are on the lower tier. Now, Notre Dame obviously isn't the case this year, but SMU, Clemson, Penn State, all these teams that are starting to make the playoff because you expanded it, they're going to reap the benefits come high school recruiting season, come transfer portal recruiting season of all these guys that are, hey, I'm in the two deep, but the guy ahead of me is the same class or maybe a year younger, or he's got another year left. And, there's all these different things. And then you throw in the money factor, and I think revenue sharing is going to level the playing field somewhat there. These schools that have less talent but are competitive right now are going to reap the benefits of getting more of that talent. And Nebraska is going to be one of those programs. I think expanding the playoff is plus the 105 roster limit are two of the best changes in college football for a program like Nebraska today.
I mean,
If you are against the 12-team playoff, you are wrong. I'm just going to say it. You're wrong. We
yeah, I
just
mean,
saw
you,
the best two games in college football all season last weekend, and the two winners would not have made the playoff.
yeah, you know what? You're right. I mean, I know you love to hear that, so calm down.
I guess you can throw Arizona State, Texas in there.
Yeah,
They're one of the really good
that was a
games.
phenomenal game. I mean, you
The
can just keep
first
going back. Like,
Oregon Ohio State game, another really good game.
yep.
But I don't know what we're arguing about in terms of reducing teams. Like, do you not enjoy more meaningful football this late in the season? Because we were on a path of bowl games are now worthless. That's where
But
we were headed.
but Drake, what about all the blowouts? I thought these blowouts are so boring. Like Penn State whooping up on SMU, Ohio State whooping up on Tennessee. Like no one wants to see that, right?
No, I loved it. I loved watching the SEC get dominated in the playoff. Also, while we're at it, every sport that has a tournament or a playoff has blowouts.
Yep.
Every sport, even baseball, you get some 9-1, 10-1 games. Every sport across the board. The only sport you might not see this in is soccer. And I don't know enough about soccer to talk about it. So, you know what? I'll give you soccer. We'll say soccer doesn't have blowouts, but I know they do because I've seen USA lose 5-0.
Yep. And we've talked about this a lot in the past couple of weeks. You're gonna see upsets. Like yet just because there wasn't an upset in the first round this year doesn't mean there won't be next year. Doesn't mean there won't be the year after that. It's
How
only
long did
going
it
to get
take us to get 16 upsetting one in March Madness? And now we've had
yeah,
two.
right. It's just
It's
it's gonna get more and more prevalent. So
every time I see this argument about decreasing teams, we went too far. I lose my mind. The FCS has 24 teams, and guess what? North Dakota State dominated that division for a very long time. You know who got really good? James Madison, who's now Division One FBS. You know who else got really good? South Dakota State. Like the expanding it, giving more teams the opportunity to compete for that title, levels the playing field, which only increases parity. Like, and that's one thing we've complained about for like the last
yep,
decade and a half is you already know who's going to win the title before the season started. Now, before this season started, I would have put Ohio State in one of my top four teams to win the
yep.
playoff,
Same here.
but they wouldn't have made it in a 14 playoff this year. You know who I didn't have as a contender? Notre Dame,
Yep.
just because they've let us down as fans so many times. The last time they were this close, Manti Te'o found out his girlfriend wasn't real. So let's enjoy this. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I don't know, like who doesn't like more football? Just like you said, more meaningful football. Like who doesn't enjoy that? Who doesn't enjoy more teams not having players sitting out?
Yeah, would you rather be watching Stanford and Christian McCaffrey opting out of bowl games, which was
Right?
becoming way more prevalent?
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that. I haven't done a bowl game bracket in like 8 years.
Yeah. I used to do it so much as a kid. My dad knows about that. So we used to do that
And you
every year.
know
That was
how
one of the
much of a
things I look forward
degenerate
to.
gambler I am. I don't
Yeah.
even bet on bowl games anymore. I don't
Yeah.
bet on the bowl games because
There's no
there's
point.
so many teams and so many players. I can't keep track of who's opting out. I can't.
Right. No.
So,
The
all
more teams
right.
you add in, the less that happens. So
Yeah. I would love a perfect world where we got to 24 or 32 teams in the playoff.
yeah,
Let's
that'd be
make
a
it
lot,
like
but
let's
that's a
make it
lot of
like
games. That's where
it
that
is.
comes to the games.
You
So
you you drop conference championships for one, but
yeah.
let's make it closer. Now, 32 teams is insane.
Yeah.
I, I'm being very hyperbolic here, but every other sport, we not every other sport, but basketball. I think volleyball does 32, but basketball, baseball, they do 64. Basketball technically does 68, but at the end of the day, you get upsets there. I mean,
Yep.
we had Stony Brook here in Omaha in the College World Series. Coastal Carolina won the College World Series. Those are two programs that don't belong with the big boys of their sport, but here they are winning national titles. VCU went on a Final Four run like a decade ago. Like it doesn't happen all the time, but the chance that it does is there. So
Yep.
I love it. I really would like it to see us get to 16. Okay, now that I got that off my chest and my heart rate is up, let's talk about the championship game on Monday night. Who do you got? What's your reason? Go first.
uh, it really hurts me to say I just don't see a world where Ohio State loses this game. They're just that it's almost like I talk about it with the NFL, my friends all the time. Who comes in hot? They something happened at Michigan with Michigan, and they just came in to this playoff hot. They're playing their best ball, and when they're playing their best ball, they're by and far between the best team in the country. They are playing Notre Dame, who has the second best scoring defense. That says they're only allowing 14.3 points a game, and they're only allowing 17 points a game in the playoffs. Um, I think that could give Ohio State some trouble. Will Howard's been playing excellent football. Just
Apart
with
from Friday night.
yeah. Well, he was throwing in some crazy balls in the first half where I was like, I can't believe that wasn't intercepted. It was just on a rope.
The refusal to use Jeremiah Smith in that game,
What
again,
did I
degenerate gambler here, was criminal.
I saw numerous clips of him getting triple bracketed in that game,
I
which,
don't
I
care.
mean, it's great
You gotta
game planning, but, like, I've never seen so much Carnell Tate in my life.
no, not at all.
It was by far a great defensive plan, it just didn't work out for him, so,
All right,
um
I'm gonna flip this on you though. You talk about coming in hot. Notre Dame has won 13 in a row. They are
that's very true.
11, 1, and 1 against the spread in that time.
Yeah, um, but the spread's 8.5 points for Ohio State, so that doesn't mean they're gonna win the game. So,
No, no,
um
it does not. But I will tell you, in my opinion, I think Vegas has really underestimated this team since they slipped up against Northern Illinois, and rightfully so. I think you definitely have the better quarterback in Will Howard when you have good Will Howard at
yep.
Ohio State. But when he is average Will Howard, I lean Riley Leonard because he can force a little bit more issues. I would argue that Ohio State really does not like mobile quarterbacks, and although Dylan Raiola is not a mobile quarterback, he gave them trouble running the ball when Nebraska was in Ohio at the Ohio State game. So, um, I'm like you though. I say all that to say this: I lean Ohio State. I have a Notre Dame cover. I'm going to go lay some good money on a Notre Dame cover tomorrow. Um, I'm also going to take a player prop. I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to take Riley Leonard over rushing.
Okay.
Um,
You know what? I
but
kinda like that. To your point, I think that happens because I think Ohio State just kinda says, "Our players are better than you," and they just most of the time, they just line up in man and
yeah,
just zone man blitz you. So if, you pick up the blitz, it's wide open
yeah.
30-yard QB rush, so
I mean, I think Dylan Raiola, if you take out the sacks, I think he had like 68 yards
yeah.
against them or something
Yeah,
on the ground.
it was nuts.
And most of that came off of two rushes.
Yeah.
So two scrambles. So I like Ohio State to win. Um, I I think this game. I think it's probably a 24-16, 24-17 type game. Um, I could also see the really good Ohio State that you saw against Oregon.
Yep.
Um, and this
And
game could
Tennessee.
and this game could be over by the end of the first quarter. It
Yeah.
really could. Ohio State is far and away the most talented program in America right now. I don't think there's anybody disputing that. But you and I talked about it. There is something different about this Notre Dame team. Watching their linemen hype
Yeah,
themselves up
right.
before the game gives me chills. Um, Even if it is from a goofy white guy.
Yeah.
Uh, that guy. Something about the way he goes into his pregame speech gets me going.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm leaning Ohio State with a Notre Dame cover. I'm going to go 24-17.
I like it. I think I'm going to go a little more points than you. I like Ohio State winning this game. Let's go 34-28. Um, yeah, I
You're
just
just banking on a lot of pass interference on Ohio State, aren't you?
no, I would like to see how this Notre Dame team can respond to adversity. I feel like they haven't faced a whole lot of it um, since that Northern Illinois game.
Yeah.
Um, if Ohio State comes out hot, say they go up 14 nothing, will they respond? I don't know.
Well,
I
they
mean, I'd
did it.
love
Notre Dame has. I mean, they did it to Penn State the other night down
yeah.
10-0.
Yeah, that's fair, but Ohio State has a lot more of a bury you mentality than I think Penn State does. So,
Oh, for sure, for
yeah.
sure. And Ohio State also doesn't have Drew Aller playing quarterback. So
I don't know. You've seen this Ohio State defense. I feel like they have been headhunting all playoffs. They are hitting hard.
Yeah, they're playing some violent football, and it's been fun football to watch.
Yep.
Even their blowouts have been fun
Yep.
because of the way they're playing. So, all right, Cam, any last words?
No, I mean, shoot, I hope Notre Dame pulls it off. You know, living in Ohio, I feel like I'm already suffering as a Bengals fan. I can't see my fellow Ohio State fans win when I'm losing over here. So I need them to feel the pain that I feel all the time. Um, and
I
hopefully
hear
they
you.
can pull it out.
Well, I'm not used to this feeling, but the last few years have been pretty dire for me. When Nebraska started to get bad, my Patriots got really good, and the Patriots have been awful lately. But good news is Mike Vrabel's coming home. I don't know how that pans out. Their roster still sucks, but hopefully it's better next season. So, all right, that'll do it for episode 3. Thank you for listening and watching and putting up with us. Hopefully my lag wasn't too bad tonight. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow the show on YouTube and on Twitter. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.